No, we are not going to be talking about the impeachment trial. That will go on as it goes on. And as I was reminded today when I saw a man leave for work at 5:30 in the morning, that's the reality of our world today. Not what happens there, but the fact that somebody gets up at 5:30 in the morning to go in and put a hard day's labor helping build something. And that's exactly what he does. And I am grateful for him and for all the other entrepreneurs who really make America and the rest of the world work. That's what we do, and most of us do it pretty well. Again, I'm Stan Houston. This is the Master Entrepreneur, and today I'd like to take a few minutes, under 20 again. A number of years ago, I did a program which was an update, my attempted update, of the famous book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I did a little program called Making Good Friends and Making Your Mark in the Marketplace. And I'm going to be bringing it forward so you can see more clearly what you should do in 2020 so that you can have a good 2020 vision. But as I was putting that together, I came across the middle episode that I have in this little class, and it was on how to be a person of influence, a POI, and then how to be a person of wisdom, a POW. And so I thought today, Thursday night, flowing into the weekend, rather than talking about the depressing stuff of the world, we'll talk about some things that could help you build a better life and build a better business as you build things together, as we build things together as true Christian entrepreneurs in 2020. So we'll just take that audio video track and listen to it for a bit of time on our program today. All the best blessings. I think you'll enjoy what you hear. Greetings. Welcome back. May I make a suggestion now that perhaps you've made the decision to become one of those 3% who live a life on purpose and with a set of goals? May I suggest that you become a POW? And then may I suggest that you become a POI? Well, a POW is a person of wisdom. That doesn't mean you're necessarily the smartest person or the brightest or certainly the best educated, but wisdom is that unique ability through life, spirit, and experience to be able to understand how we can best live our lives. That's wisdom. And though Dale Carnegie said, make good friends, no, he said win friends, and we are now deciding that we have to make friends by making ourselves the friend. And then Dale said, influence people. Perhaps what we have to understand is that we really don't have a lot of control over whether we can really influence people. But perhaps we can take the responsibility for seeking to do those things that could make us a person of influence, and then let it go and see what happens in terms of influence. But may I also ask us to perhaps adjust our thinking just a little bit. Oftentimes when we think of influence, we think of numbers. We think of the personality, the celebrity, how many Facebook friends, how many Twitter followers. You get the picture. You know what I'm talking about. We oftentimes think that influence is related to the number of people who know us and perhaps give us a like. That's not the issue. Influence is based on the impact you have on people's lives. And may I suggest the impact for good? Let's keep it in that discussion. It's not necessarily the number, it's the impact. It's that you do, as one of my mentors said to me, Stan, you do lots of things. Please make sure that you occasionally take a time out to ask yourself, are you doing the things that truly matter? Oh, impact, does it matter? And then, is it good? Garrison Keillor, a well-known radio personality, said many years ago, and probably continues to say it today, and I imagine he will continue to say it. As he said goodbye, he simply wished us that we would do good work. Well, impact, matter, and good. Now, let those three words kind of sink in and say, can I become a person who does things in which those three qualities come out of the things that I say, the things I do, the things that I achieve? Now, let me just take time to give you 4 expressions of how you might become a person of influence. Now, the first one is going to be a little bit difficult for us, and that is this. If you want to be a person of influence, you're going to have to learn to be different. Everybody likes everybody because everybody's the same. You will never have great impact unless you are prepared to be different. Now, I'm not saying weird or eccentric, though that might be part of it, but you are the kind of person who, in effect, as someone used to say, you dance your own dance, and of course, you do your own drum. You are the kind of person who seeks to be expressive and unique and somewhat different in what you do. If those people who are so conscious of, do I fit in? Do people like me? That great tyranny of wanting to be liked, wanting to fit in, wanting to make sure we're like and dress and have all the things that everybody else has, let me caution you that that may be the road to a certain friendship or certain popularity, but it will never be the path. And it's always a path to making a difference, having impact, doing what matters, and being a person of influence. Now, I'm going to simply ask you, think about the way you live your life, and what are the positive differences that you bring forward in how you live your life and how you treat others and how you do your deals. May I also express the desire for you to like this word, useful. A number of years ago, my daughter wrote a book called How to Be Useful. And it was based on her discovery that she left Minnesota and went to New York. You know, the proverbial, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And she discovered that what had to happen if she was going to be successful in the Big Apple, it's, you know, there's lots of cute people. There's lots of smart people. There's lots of talented people. The world is full of those kinds of people. But success oftentimes hinged on being able to accept the quality of being useful to other people. Now think about that. What might that mean? That you are useful. How are you useful to other people? To your friends, to your boss, to your colleagues, to your company, to your community? How are you useful? Again, I would encourage you to write that word down, put it on a card, put it, the proverbial, on your table, on your desk, on your dresser, on the bathroom mirror. How can you be useful? And you start your day by expressing the fact, what am I going to do today that is useful, and who will it be useful for? All right? Third thing I'm going to ask you to think about is this. You must learn to express yourself. If you want to be a person of influence, you have to have the ability, both in terms of relationships, oftentimes in how you speak, how you write, the way you treat others, even your body language. You need to learn the expressive arts. It's a good time to learn a little bit about how to be a public speaker. That's one of the first things that Dale Carnegie said will give you the confidence and allow you to do those things is to have the confidence. And he meant by confideo, with faith, that you can actually speak and express yourself in a way that attracts people, impacts people, brings them in. Now, I'm going to also ask you to think about this. Many of you have heard about the mission statement that many corporations and organizations have. Like the mission statement, who we are and what we do, and you know the deal. You've probably been on strategic planning retreats and some of those things where you've actually had to help work on a mission statement. Well, I'm going to encourage you to be a person who takes the time to actually come up with your own mission statement. And what that does for you, it helps you define yourself. Who are you? What do you believe? What is it that you do? What do you offer to the world? And what happens when you do what you do and offer what you do and people accept your offer and are in relationship or working or connected to you? What's your mission? Who are you? What do you believe? What do you do? And what do people feel, experience, do, know? How are they changed or how are they affected because they've been in touch, in contact, in relationship with you? One of my mentors once said this to me, Stan, the world steps aside for the man or woman of goodness and confidence who knows who they are, where they're going, and what they hope and plan to do. The world steps aside for those kinds of people. They're somewhat amazed. It's kind of mysterious. And that authenticity, as I said, with mystery is great power. So can I encourage you right now to play this again and think about those expressions of impact, matter, and good. And then, in effect, how are you different? How are you useful? How will you become more expressive? And how will you live out some kind of personal mission so that you can walk tall and sometimes walk tough into a world in where you can become increasingly a person of influence. Now, in our next little postscript to this, I'm going to give you some clues as to how you can begin to do that. And that was just a little over 10 minutes of part one. And now, the postscript. What are some of the specific things you can do to become a person of influence? Make good friends and make your mark. Hi, this is Stan, and I'm back for kind of a postscript on picking you as a part of Lesson 5 and how you perhaps can become a person of influence. Now, I particularly said that this is particularly for those of you who are under 35, but I'm going to suggest that everybody, no matter what your age or stage, if you're trying to do something that will again increase your influence for good, this might be something that even those of us who are a bit older might consider. Now, here we go. First of all, it's a performance economy. I oftentimes say that you've all heard the expression, there's no business like show business. Well, today, let me tell you, all business is show business. As one of my friends, Joe Pine, a former student and a good friend, said in the book, The Experience Economy, work is theater, and every business is a stage. And I'm simply going to suggest that if you have the opportunity to get some performance training. Now, if that means going to an acting class of some kind or taking some continuing education in that direction, learn some of the skills of the performer. Now, if you've had singing training or perhaps something like that, or perhaps you've actually been in an acting group, refresh yourself. Take some time to learn what you can do and how much more you can make a speech better. As I say, it's not a speech, it's a performance, so that you can use the skills of the acting profession, the performance profession, and then slide that in. Now, obviously, I've spent a good deal of my life performing in the broadcasting arts, radio and television. Today, particularly if you're a younger person, put that into your portfolio of skills. Today, you're going to have to demonstrate how good you are. You're going to have to learn how to use the audio and video medium. You're going to have your own YouTube channel. You just simply can't have a Facebook that's all about you. You're going to have to know that today we communicate by using the audio and visual arts. So find a way. Now, we're going to be offering coaching classes and perhaps ways that you can gain you don't have to go for a whole semester or like I did for, almost 2 years, but you can learn some basics of the principles of broadcast communication, which is quite different from interpersonal communication, and gain some skills that will really stand out. And by the way, when you put on your resume that you have had training in the visual, the broadcasting, the radio arts, and then explain why, you're going to find that might be a unique qualifier for the kind of position you're seeking. But if you want to be a person of influence today, you're going to have to learn how to perhaps do that. And now particularly, Dale Carnegie didn't write about this because this was out of sight in 1936, and particularly in terms of publishing. Here's what we now know. You can write a book. In fact, I've done a class and a course on how to write your first book, or at least how to start to write your first book, simply using your iPhone. The technology is so profound, and it is so available to us all. As Seth Godin says, don't wait for someone to pick you, you pick you. And today, write your first book before you're 35. I'm not saying it has to be a great book. It doesn't have to be a big book. But the fact that talkers are hawkers and writers are experts, if you want to increase your impact and influence, why don't you seek out the time and the training and then go do it. Write your first book before you're 35. Just a little postscript, something to sit on your head and think about as you are seeking to make good friends and make your mark in the marketplace. Just think about that. Yes, indeed. Just think about that. I'm Stan Houston. This is the Master Entrepreneur. This is the Christian Entrepreneur Network, TCENglobal.org. If this has been helpful, I'd be grateful if you'd TCENglobal.org/contribute now and begin to sponsor the work we do. And one of those things will be for 2020, we're going to take that classic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and put a new and modern and, I believe, a spirit-filled twist to it so that you can do some real skills, some real strategies so you can make a real difference in your life and your business in 2020. Please reach out to me. RadioEdge77@gmail.com, RadioEdge77@gmail.com. We'll be back. Both What It Takes, our video production programs, and the Master Entrepreneur, our iPod radio broadcasts around the world to help you seek a unique and powerful form of greatness so that indeed you can be full of God's creative power. All the best. Bye for now.